All right, we're back.
We're back.
Episode 25, going just Eric and Tony. It's the Eric and Tony show.
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us. Making.
Remember, there's also that camera over there. It's a wide, so we can be like both talk at the same time. Like, just a couple guys just talking to the camera. Just the two of us. Just the Eric and Tony that make this show.
Yeah. So we got holidays coming up. We have Thanksgiving. We just had Halloween. Did you do anything for Halloween?
Got ready to celebrate my 41st birthday.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
the birthday.
The birthday. I had like a fucking high school girl 3-day birthday weekend.
That was fun though.
It was.
Went bowling.
Bowling's always... Bowling is like, bar sports is where I flourish. That's like I'm usually pretty good at them. The first game I bowled like a 65, which is like terrible. I've never bowled that low. Like I couldn't get in a groove. But the last time I went bowling, I bowled like a 190. It was like, so it was just like complete polar opposites.
Yeah, bar sports are not like intimidating. I feel that's because they're drunk.
Yeah.
Usually drunk people are playing them, so it's like, all right, well.
But there is a certain like finesse about like a bar sport, like darts, pool, bowling. You're kind of in a certain parameter that's different than most other like, sports, even like something like golf, because you have like the course, the wind, the tee, all that shit. That's like, but when it comes to like a proper bar sport, you're using house equipment. It's like the lanes, 10, 13 pound ball, right? It's like with just random people's sweaty finger remnants in there and shit. It's not like you bring your own thing. And the guy that brought his own ball was like the worst bowler there. But
he had like a skull in his ball. He had like the custom shoes.
Skull in his ball and no tail.
He had a cool, he had the cool move, everything. I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be cool. And then like it was like gutter, like one pin. I was like, shit, he just
super nice dude. Isaac, I think his name is.
Oh man, why'd you even say his name?
I don't know. Ben, Steve, whatever your name is.
Anyway, he's a nice guy though too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like any sport that you're like drunk or encouraged to drink while you're doing it. That's why golf, most people drink when they're golfing. Like that's like part of the thing. Like you're outside, you're just drinking with your friends. Any of the bar sports, obviously you're drinking, like darts, bowling, pool, all that stuff. It always comes with a beer. It's like a beer is your caddy. And
I'm also like 2 beers in, great. 3 beers. It starts to like, it's a slide scale.
Yeah,
it's like,
you get into that groove and then you're like, okay, this is it. And then you just keep throwing them back. And then you're like, all right, that was my sweet spot.
It really is the same way too. Cause by like the 9th, 10th hole, I'm like, all right, fuck it. Let's just like enjoy the views and like the fresh air if there is such a thing in LA. But
I haven't gone golfing with you out here yet. That's something that we got to do.
Who'd you go golfing out here with? That wasn't me.
I went with our buddy Jay, a fireman. Up in San Francisco when he lived down here, we went to that little par 3 in Los Feliz, I think it is.
That doesn't count though.
It's like like golfing.
No, it's like hanging out in like your grandparents' backyard. You just put up some holes for the hell of it.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
It kind of is.
It's just all flat and a bunch of random trees and stuff. It's not like a proper course. Like even Griffith Park is a decent course. And there's
a golf course. See, I don't even know where the golf courses are.
Griffith Park has everything, dude. I was literally just telling that chick that where there's like, you can go there, take your kid to the little like, tiny train, petting zoo and stuff. You start going to concerts when you're older, go golfing when you retire. And then when you die, they just bury you on the backside and stuff. Like it's a one-stop shop, man. Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta go. And when I did go golfing, it was before work. So it was like, all right, next hole, next. We just keep running through them and stuff, but
just going through the motions.
Even going to the driving range is fun. I actually prefer that than actually going golfing.
You haven't been to Top Golf yet, have you?
No, I've never been to Top Golf, but that's something I heard. It's like, I think Ben was saying it's like fucking really expensive. It's like just like crazy expensive. Just a shitty golf range.
I feel like anytime you do anything, just to allow it like, $60 to be like what you're going to spend on like an activity.
It was like $100, like a person. You went with a big group. Like, can you
pay by the hour, I believe.
Here's a question. Can you just bring like alcohol to a driving range? like, is that like a thing?
Well, the thing about
I've never seen it, but
they have these fucking like, it's not just a regular driving range. There's like these big fucking holes, these big circles.
It's like
and
games
shit.
out.
It is. Like you're playing like a fucking.
Remember, there was a place in Wisconsin. It was called like Tea Time or something, and it had a huge golf ball, like a big like golf.
Storms?
No, it was like
Storms the big golf.
It was like off of Blue Mound or something.
And the one that's by the Walmart was like
I don't know what was
Swing time.
Maybe
they
swing
had batting cages there too.
Swing time?
Yeah.
Was it swing time? Yeah, maybe it was swing time. Yeah, they had batting cages.
To go practice for my softball team. Hit the batting cages real quick.
But it was so much fun. They had this giant fucking golf ball on a tee in the middle of the driving range, and it was huge. I don't know. It was like the size of like a house or something. And if you hit it, you'd hear it go boom, and like it'd make this big noise and shit. And one of the guys in my neighborhood worked there, so my mom would always drop us off there, and he'd just be like, "Here, how you guys want tokens? You go, because all of it's free. I mean, it's not like you're not like buying something; you're buying time basically with a token. You're not buying like an object. So he's like, "Yeah, here, go, fucking have fun for the whole day." Just it was a lot of fun.
That's fun.
Yeah,
they have like apparently Tiger Woods has like his version of like a Top Golf for like a putting. It's almost like a mini golf, Tiger Woods style and shit or something.
Mini golf is fun too.
Mini golf is really fun.
That's like I prefer those type of golfing, but better than like going. Like it is fun to go out
driving
and
range and mini golf versus actual golf.
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know. It's just more fun. And now if you can incorporate alcohol into those, great time.
I think you can do that for sure with like I don't know. Well, I guess
I don't know. Where do you know? I've never seen anybody drink a beer at a fucking driving range before.
Yeah,
like.
You'd have to like brown bag it, which looks really fucking like, I want so I can give him a 9 iron.
Yeah. Just smuggling some beer and shit. So we did that for your birthday. Then we had another birthday show here. That was great. That was a lot of fun. Just celebrating the 41.
40 wonderful.
Got to do it.
Yeah. New year, new me, for real.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy, man. 41. We're 41 years old.
Yeah. Which is ironic because we met when we were 14. So we just flipped the numbers now.
Yeah, dude. It's time. What do they say? The days are long and the years are short.
Yeah.
So I definitely,
especially with this daylight savings.
Ooh. But yeah, then we got Thanksgiving coming up. That's coming quick. It's gonna be it's like the full on holidays right now. Basically, from now until the end of the year, it's just like jingle bells and pumpkins and fucking.
I'm excited about the holidays, man. I'm
all
down
that stuff.
Like I'm gonna decorate the place for the kid for Christmas and shit, and get like a Christmas tree. I've been using a lot of like Santa Claus just to bribe him to not hit kids at school. It's like are you still on the good list? Are you on the naughty? Well, he's like got to stay on the fucking good list. Otherwise, he's on the naughty list. He's not getting Christmas presents. So, for those of you who are wondering, my son has been bullying and getting bullied at school the last few months. So, trying to like just figure out a way to. I'm doing like play dates with kids that he's having like rough times with, which is actually going pretty well. But like,
it's a great way to hang that over his head, like, oh, the Santa, like, don't get on. I think it's like a good way to kind of go about it.
And it's funny because that is like the kid version of religion, where it's like, hey, you don't want to go killing people because you won't go to heaven. What's happening? Right. Oh, it's a golden road home with like you live in the clouds and everything's awesome all the time. There's never any conflict. So it's like that was.
So are you gonna do like my parents always did like the cookies on a plate with a glass of milk we'd leave out before we go to bed, and then you wake up and like they're gone.
I mean, it's like I don't have like a chimney or anything in my apartment. Like it comes through the grate.
Yeah, you don't need any of that
like,
shit. We didn't have a chimney.
Yeah.
We just.
But I mean, I wouldn't mind doing that kind of shit because that's kind of really selling the whole thing even more. Because like I said, dude, like my mom was really good at that shit, and like.
Yeah, you always said like she did all the cool stuff, like putting deer prints in the backyard and like Santa Claus prints and all that stuff. Like
there was reindeer poop in our backyard one year, and I was like, man, it's crazy. Reindeer has really tiny turrets because it was actually bunny rabbit shit from our pet bunny and stuff. But I believed it. She fucking sold the lie to me. So I think it's funny because like Anthony should probably know about like Santa Claus. He'll probably believe in that for a few years, but like. I think once he like realizes that's not real, it's like really the kind of they're aging out of the kid thing. Like it's I don't want to jump the gun on it already because I'm already getting like sad. Like he barely just started getting into Santa Claus.
Yeah, what is the age of that? Like I don't even remember. Like my parents didn't say anything. It was just like I think it just came up in school one day and everyone was like, "You fucking idiot! You believe in that shit?" And
well, he wasn't really aware.
Is this not true
of like Christmas until like last year was the first year that he was like he was excited about Christmas lights. We put the tree together and shit. And then, like he was excited about the Santa Claus giving the gifts and stuff, plus getting actual gifts. So this year, I was like, "Who's gonna get gifts from Santa?" He's like, "Me and you and Mama and Ace," and then like just like he's excited about that shit. And then he's gonna get like 2 sets of Santa gifts and stuff. And
so you gotta just bring it big for these next few years, but like still is living in the fantasy land.
Yeah.
I always remember Christmas being like getting the tree and putting up the ornaments. It was never like a fairy tale thing, like, oh yeah, and then we're gonna get the tree and put it up and it's gonna be so happy. It was always my dad fucking yelling at my mom, like, open the fucking door, fucking get the.
Can you see how heavy this is?
Yeah, like always, and then like put water in it. Your fucking tree's fucking dying. There's needles all over the ground. Like it's always a fucking thing, and like I just dreaded that. Like every Christmas, like here we go, and going to the fucking getting the tree and all that shit.
Dude, I mean, even when we had our first big apartment, I was big on getting a tree because I like it. Just especially in California where there's no like real sign of the holidays, you need to have some kind of like decoration and shit. And I still feel like any well decorated home in California is like a birthday cake with no frosting. You know what I mean? Because there's no snow to make it all kind of just mesh together, just like a well lit house. And
like you go in the grocery store, or if you go to the mall, if people do that anymore, and then it's like super like. Super, Christmas or Thanksgiving, whatever, and then you step outside and you're like, oh, there's a palm tree.
Yeah,
like that's not anything. But
Ralph's is like that. Ralph's has those like cinnamon pine cones or whatever, and like that and like the regular smell of Ralph's like just brings me back to the first Christmas I was out here like 20 years ago. And I'm like, ugh. I'm like, I get like anxiety, like how am I gonna pay for rent? I'm like, you're fine. You're making enough money at this point. Like you're not the fucking 20-year-old kid that moved out here that was like, how does this work? Rent. It seems like it's every time I turn around, it's fucking time to pay rent again. But.
So you're going back home for Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah. I'm doing a little 4-day trip back to Wisconsin. And we used to do like an annual Thanksgiving morning hike at Latin Peak.
Yeah.
So they have the tower up there. You can watch. We get up early as shit, get there, watch the sunrise, and then go to like Shoney's or some like Denny's type place for breakfast, and then go about our business for Thanksgiving and stuff. So we'll be back in town for that. So I'm going to take Anthony, and he's going to get like the whole... He's never seen snow, so I'm really hoping it snows and shit while I'm home.
Fucking snowed like a month ago.
Yeah, it snowed on Halloween.
Yeah.
It
snowed in April, I think. No, not April.
No, it does snow in April though. It does. It snowed. It snowed and it was -40 in April, and we moved out here in 2007. So,
yeah, I'm going back on I think the 27th or something. So I'll be like middle of the fucking like death cold of like everything, and I'm just like, oh man, this is gonna be rough. I gotta like figure out what to bring for clothes because it's just it's so fucking cold. It's so miserable. It's just so cold all the time.
You know what's funny though, dude? As much as I hate being cold, I really don't pack that warm when I go home. I just like
because you pack like you've been living out here so long. You're just like, oh, the coldest I need is a sweatshirt, like and a fucking some jeans, and that's it. And like that'll be good. And then you get there and you're like going through your old fucking clothes that your parents still have, and you're like putting on old shit, just trying to like layer up.
I have like an old Carhartt jacket and stuff. I think Anthony has a pair of like snow boots and stuff there and shit, because like I'd like to go sledding if possible. There's a whole bunch of shit I'd like to do if the weather permits. If not, it'd still be cool just to have him see like the changing leaves and whatnot, and just like
I don't know if they'll have that Christmas light display thing they have where you drive through in a car, and it's like
Cane Lane.
Yeah, well, Candy Cane Lane, there's a bunch of those, but then there's like one, it's like at a park where it's like it's fucking like crazy done up. I did it with my grandfather like a few years ago, and it was like pretty legit. Then they have like a thing inside. There's like a train.
And he's like, Eric, Santa's not real.
I'm like 38.
What? No.
Yeah, so crazy. So like, having a kid, like you have this like one thing that you can just lie about like as much as you want, and it's like it's like accepted. Everyone's just like, yeah, of course.
That's how you keep your kid on the straight and narrow, man. I mean, look, dude, I'm telling you, just like him, because we were trying to do like little rewards and stuff, and like if you're good, because he's been a big fan of Dunkin' Donuts lately. Shout out to D&D.
Hey, he's got good taste. Dunkin' Donuts is sponsor. Shit.
Yeah, for real. But he eats donuts like a fucking like a maniac and shit. He takes like the actual, he eats the frosting first, and then like he eats pizza weird too. He eats it like the crust first. Eats it backwards. Like,
well, there's a thing. Is it stuffed crust?
No, it's regular ass crust.
All right. Well,
eats it backwards. Then he works. Then
ahead of his time. Yeah. Wait till he tries his stuffed crust. He's like, holy shit.
Well, then he also eats his fries. He'll bite off the hard tips on both ends, and then like work his way towards the middle stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
That's just, you got to think, just crust first, then middle.
Yeah,
but yeah, man, he's an interesting kid.
Their own. Yeah, it's interesting to see like so many people like do that with like even my parents, your parents, all this stuff with like these fairy tales, and then as you get older, you find out that what's real.
Yeah,
and
we
what's
gotta start
not.
lying about the tooth fairy.
Oh yeah, the tooth fairy. That's a whole other
Easter
thing.
bunny.
There's a whole bunch of lies you gotta fucking like do. Like, do you ever think of like just being like, no, this shit ain't real, and like doing it a different way, like making your own thing up?
Yeah, but the thing is, man,
You know
it's
what
like
I mean?
because I got a buddy who's doing that. He's not doing any of the holidays with his kids and stuff, and like I've talked to him about that. And he's got like 6 kids, and I'm like, you're kind of taking away part of the magic of childhood, though. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you don't want to do that, I get that, but like. And he's also like going to put some of his kids in like homeschooling.
No, like keep like the magical part of it, but like change the story. Like, or like, you know what I mean? Like instead of being like, oh, there's this guy that comes in your house and he brings presents or whatever. Like,
but you're kind of giving them like, again, too, it's like, it's definitely a false idol. Like you're like giving them something to believe. It's like, hey, there's a really nice guy that for whatever reason just doesn't die. And he's like really quick at traveling. And he also knows where everyone lives and whether they've been good or bad and what kind of gifts they want. And he's very fucking efficient. He gets it all done in one fucking night, across the whole world. But, that's like a cool person to like believe in and stuff like that. And then, like, obviously, I think as kids start to realize like this seems really fucking impossible.
Yeah,
you kind of like, all right, turns out it's just me and mom.
That was horseshit.
Yeah, it was all bullshit.
Yeah, it's such like a weird thing though. Like thinking about that, like I remember like when I believed in Santa Claus and all that stuff, and like Easter Bunny, and you're like, wow, this is fucking amazing. Yeah. It's like seeing a magician or something for your first time.
I knew that I had like my suspicions about the tooth fairy though, because like. The tooth fairy's like penmanship was like just like my mom's. I'm like, something seems a little close here and stuff. And I remember doing like a fucking like penmanship analysis with my tooth fairy fucking envelope
CSI.
And a card for my mom. And I was like, and then she kind of did some like Disney-esque letters and stuff to kind of fancy it up and like, I think like dotted like the I for fairy with a fucking star or some shit. I was like, if this wasn't there, I was like, this,
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. It's like, he hasn't lost a tooth yet, but he's always like, Dad, I think my tooth's loose, I think. Because, like, some older kids have, like, lost teeth and shit. So, like...
Oh, that's the worst, too. Do you remember losing teeth?
I honestly didn't. I know this fucking sounds real shallow, but, like, I'm not looking forward for, like, the kids' photos of my kid having missing teeth and shit. It's just, like... It just looks like he's, like, white trash and shit. Like, his little meth head, stuff like that. Like, kids are a trip, man. Because, like... I was, like we were talking about earlier... when you have a picture of you and like a sleeping baby, it looks like you're just holding like a dead baby and stuff. They're just like these weird things that like, also when you're like kids, like dude, some of the kid pictures I have, like there's probably like a dozen pictures of me as a kid. And some of them I have like a missing front tooth and like a fucking mullet. And I just look like,
that's cool though. That's cute. Like it's like,
no, it's not cute.
Pictures of like little kids with goofy teeth and fucked up haircuts and shit. That's cool. But like pictures of babies, I like when anybody has ever shown me a picture of their baby, I'm just like, cool. It's a picture of a baby. It's nothing. It's like, it's not like, there's no emotion in it. There's no like, it's so cute or, it looks like none of that. It's just all looks just like a gross little baby thing.
That's just because you don't have kids or you haven't had like a kid yet. I don't know, man. You kind of like, it's like,
again, there's none of that like emotion attached to it. So I see it for what it is. I'm like, all right, it's this little fucking shit thing, like shit making, crying thing. Yeah. And that's it. Like
but like I said though, so when you have,
and it looks nothing like anybody. And it just looks like a baby. Always.
Yeah. I mean, again, too, I wasn't really like, when I had my nieces and nephews were first born, I wasn't like, oh my God, what a miracle. I'm like, cool. Well, good luck with that.
That's so weird.
My sister was like, "Do you want to change the diaper?" I'm like, "No, why? No, like I'm trying to fucking go my entire life without changing a diaper and shit." And then like I fucked around and got married and had a kid, and then like the first diaper I ever put on was my son's, and the first one I ever changed was my son's. Like his first diaper was all me. On and off and all that changing thing and stuff like that. And like the nurse had to show me how to like do all that stuff, but like I wasn't trying like, let me just roll up my sleeves. I got this, Tina. Let me like hop in there. Like, no,
because there's guys too that are like, oh yeah, I'll do that. And they jump in there and they don't have kids and they do all that shit. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah. And you had those like scenarios when like siblings like raise their younger siblings. It was like, I was raising babies since I was 7. It's just like, well, I didn't do that. And I avoided that as much as possible and stuff. And even when like I babysat when I was a kid, it was always like kids that were out of diapers and shit. But yeah, man, like, I don't know, like that's once you go through that, I think as like you look back at like a young kid from like a parent's perspective, you're like, oh, I remember when my kid was that age. But if you don't have kids, you're just kind of like, Yeah, let me know when that thing starts to talk. I can have a conversation with it and stuff,
Yeah.
because that's how I always felt until
I finally started talking to my brother's kids, and they're like 15.
yeah.
I haven't talked to them.
It's on their wedding day. Hey, so I'm happy to be here for your wedding. So what's your name again? Are you Reed?
Yeah.
What one are you?
What are their names? No, I think there is that like weird. There is that time where it's just like for someone that doesn't have kids, it's like an annoyance, and it's like, oh, okay, whatever. This is just like kids are kids, you know. And unless you have them, you don't appreciate all those like inconveniences and like all the things, because there's not that like same attachment there. But then once they hit that age where you're like, oh, like it's almost like they come into like consciousness. You're like, oh shit, like you're alive now. Like you turned on, like the switch fucking turned on. You're like, you're a real person, and you're not just saying things and that you hear and like whatever. You're like have opinions, and you can have conversation and stuff like that. That's really cool. I really like that.
What's crazy too is like you have like, you know, weird scenarios like walking my kid around my neighborhood now. It's like my old neighborhood, right? So I was just taking him and my dog for a walk. And then we walked, and like the dog park was closed, like Waddles or whatever. Yeah. And he's like, Dad, you got to go left here. This is where the dog park is. I'm like, you remember that? I'm like, that's crazy. Because I know when I was a kid, I knew where my grandparents' house was, but I didn't know how to get like to school or anything like that. I was definitely not that aware of like landmarks and like locations at 4 years old and shit. I'm like, good. I'm so proud of you, man. Do you remember how to get home from here? Like in case there's ever a scenario you need to get back to my house and shit. Yeah. Because like at this point, like he knows more than Ace does. Like they say, like, you know, a dog's fully functioning brain's out of a 2-year-old kid and shit like that. Like, so there's a point in time I remember like the intersection of like, you know, intelligence between Anthony and Ace. I'm like, they're both just as dumb. You know, they're both fucking like, you know, and for the most part, like, you know, Ace was just dominating for the first 2 years because Anthony was just fucking like worthless. And then when like Anthony started opening the door, I'm like, Ace, you can't even open the door. I've had you for fucking 8 years. Come on, man. Like fucking start pulling your weight around here. Yeah. Making the bad luck, dude.
It's funny, like even in like when I was in my 30s and now I'm in my 40s, when I still see people that are like around my age and they are like, hey, we're having a baby. I'm always like, oh,
I'm like, a little early.
I'm like, oh, damn. Like that sucks. Like the first thing in my head is like, oh man. Yeah. Oh, but
she didn't want to abort it.
Like there's nothing in my brain that was like, oh yeah, like they wanted that. They were trying to have a baby. Yeah. They're trying to do that. The first like knee-jerk reaction is, oh God.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Happens, man. Yeah.
That's like such even I don't know. I think it'll always be like that. It's like, oh great. Oh, bummer.
That's one way to go out. Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's easy to fucking think. Well, speaking of kids and all that kind of shit, something we want to talk about earlier, like the Russian chick.
Oh yeah,
26 years old, has 22 kids. Yeah, that's and wants to have 100 kids. She's trying to go till she has 100 kids.
Possible?
First off, I don't know how the fuck this is even going down. We're like, how are you having?
I want 1,000 kids.
I mean, like you had so say she had the first kid at like 14, right? So she's had like 8 years of baby making, right? Like her oldest kid can be like, how can you? But like think about it this way though. So say she actually does get to 100 kids, right? That means just in theory,
you have to be 100 years old, don't you?
No, not even. No. She's having like fucking like
I guess
litters of kids at a time.
You have
she's like a fucking
of, like octuplets and shit.
Dog, just having fucking like I knocked out another 12 kids this round and shit. Like, but there's like okay, so just say be optimistic. She has all 100 kids, right? What's that look like for a birthday schedule on a calendar year, right? It's just like, all right, we got 3 birthdays coming up this week. We got a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday, or like they have like fucking, we got 3 on, and at that point, you have to have like, just like at least 4 to 5 kids per crack, right? So like, you can have some real fucking like intense weeks where it's like, we got 2 sextuplet birthdays this week, you know?
Well, I want to know, what the fuck does she do for a living, or what is the
apparently make babies?
I mean, like what does their income look like? Like that's an insane amount for anybody.
Dude, I mean, just you look at like first off, I'm trying to figure out how I can pay for my one kid.
If you
got 22 times as many kids as that I have, right? Yeah. Then you have like, you know, if you want to have 5 times that, that's insane.
Yeah, like that. It doesn't. They must be like, I don't know, like super, I would imagine they're super wealthy. But then again, like usually like the dumbest people have like the most amount of kids. So it's like, Yeah, we got 18 kids in this trailer park.
This chick's gonna have like 59 kids and die by the time she's 33. Like she'll never make it to the 100 mark, but she'll keep trying until her body shits out. You ever taken like all that kind of like fertility drugs and stuff? Dude, there's like women from being pregnant like lose teeth and shit. Like part of their being goes into the creation of kids and shit. They're losing like fucking minerals and part of their fucking like their blood, like all that shit's just being like, transferred to the kid. Like I don't know if that she can afford 100 of those. That's going to be like,
I need to know more about the people that are creating these people, because I feel like it's the idiocracy
also
part of
though,
the
but
movie.
here's the thing though. So what if she's like some kind of like Shaolin fucking like ninja and shit and just like trains this like, you have a tribe of like 100 people that are like got your back at all times, like, oh mother, I shall honor you.
Right,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like, or they could like lock their kids in the basement and fucking like leave them in cages and shit. And like never, like there was that couple that they did that. They had like 8 or 9 kids. There was some weird religion and they fucking like didn't let their kids go outside ever. And they locked them in like their rooms and like they like fucked each other and like made more kids, like some real fucked up crazy shit. I'm like, all right, that's I need to know more about these people. But first glance, it's probably not a good idea.
Well, again, too, because the fact that we're like massively overpopulated as a fucking like planet, you're like, what if it becomes a trend to try to have like 30 plus kids? Like, you know what I mean? That's just, and there's not like a place, even like, dude, like Russia, you want to have 100 kids in Russia?
I don't know. I don't know. That's just fucking nuts. I think it was a mistake.
Yeah, but then again, so
100 mistakes.
Here's another just Tony Klein OCD fucking mathematics. On a regular day, you have 24 hours, right? So 8 of that's just gone off the top for sleep. So you have 16 left, right?
Right.
You have 100 kids. How are you going to have any kind of FaceTime with each one of those kids every day? Do you know what I mean? Like you'd have to just be like, all right, you'd be like speed dating your kids. Like, how are you? How are you? Like that's by the time you get to the first go around, you don't think you even be able to get a chance to touch base with each kid each day.
Yeah, it's not practical.
No,
it's foolish.
I was talking to Alex about that yesterday. He's like, yeah, but like, what is she gonna do? Like, she already has the kids. I'm like, well, stop having kids. Like, you already have 22 fucking kids. You can't have like, there's a point of diminishing returns where it's just like now you're just some like weird mom who has like minions that do that shit, because by the time she has her 50th and 70th kid, those first kids are now like she's probably gonna be a grandma at that point. You know what I mean? Like that's fucking insane. You just have this huge leech on the system.
Like unless you have like an excessive amount of help and money to give those people like a normal life, like then like there's no point. It's like someone that has like I have one car. Like if I was like, hey, Tony, I just bought 10 cars. You'd be like, what are you fucking crazy? Like, how are you going to afford all that? Like the upkeep, the fucking.
I don't know, but do you know what else has 10 cars? Yeah. It's like, what's the point of that though?
Yeah.
I have 100 children I can't afford.
Yeah. Exactly. I got 100 shitty cars.
Tell me you're done with now. Tell me you're done. Yeah.
All right. So you're going to Wisconsin for Thanksgiving. You're doing the Wisconsin thing. Going to be there for like 5 days.
Yeah.
And then what are you doing for Christmas then? You're going to get a tree and do that out here, do the tree thing.
Do the Santa Claus lies. I'll probably take him to go do the sit on the lap thing with Santa Claus. He's like old enough now, he's not going to cry. And
that's
shit.
all. That's another weird thing where like going to like at the mall, that's like how we grew up going to the mall usually.
Yeah.
Now like
the Grove, dude. The Grove's like where we go. The Grove. My kid has like the fucking like most Hollywood version of everything. Like I think he's getting apart from not having snow and just like that Norman Rockwell type winter feel, he has a really cool experience as to like just, dude, even like the grocery stores out here are just a little bit more like leveled up, because like Ralph's on Sunset, Trader Joe's on Sunset, both of them, you need to take an elevator to get inside. You park on the roof, right? And I'm like, Anthony, you want to go to the grocery store? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you want to take an elevator? I was like, fuck yeah. Like, here we go, elevator inside the grocery store. And then like Trader Joe's has like little mini shopping carts and shit. Like the kid just has like a cool experience as to like a whole bunch of stuff. That, like, and two, there's not a lot of fucking like kids in Hollywood. So like he's like kind of like a special treat running around these streets.
So here's something. Yeah. So like growing up in like brutal, cold, sub-zero fucking temperatures and shit, I think that has some effect on like that, how that like made us as people. Like you're just a little I don't know, like more prepared, or like, I don't know, like it changes you a little bit. It makes you a certain way. How do you think him growing up in like, California, he's basically like grew up in like the Golden State, like the best place in the world. Like,
well, he also never had that like experience of like playing out in the snow and your like mittens or your gloves get like wet, but you're still playing because you don't want to go inside yet, but you're like getting frostbite. You know what I mean? Like there's just like a certain thing where like
like all that stuff.
Your like nose is fucking like rosy, and like they're just like your
ears are face washed with snow from somebody that's bigger than you.
Yeah.
You should take him up to Big Bear. Like go up to Big Bear for like a couple days and like do that.
If we don't catch snow while we're home in Wisconsin, I will, because I want him to see snow this year, because it's just like he's like 4. Like that's crazy because we grew up in that shit. And that's the other thing too, man. Like, raising kids out here versus back home, like fucking hats off to all the fucking Midwest parents for like raising their kids and like pushing like a stroller on like an icy sidewalk and shit. Like that shit just sucks in general.
Like, why do you even have your kid outside at that point? Like, it's so fucking crazy cold there.
If you have to do shit, you have to bring them with you and stuff. Like, they're just like,
like you're saying,
like the stuff that like, again, you appreciate your parents the older you get, but then really when you become like a parent, I always fucking say that sounding like something. Once you become a parent, like, but really you can't like, really, look at that through those lenses unless you actually are there. And you're like, damn, this is a lot of work just to do in like 70s and sunny California.
Right. Like
let
the
alone
perfect
fucking like,
then...
blizzard. And then too, dude, like the cars and the equipment that our parents had back then, like vinyl seats with a shitty ass fucking like
rear wheel drive, like no ABS, just fucking fucking every day going to school, fucking fishtailing and shit was like
even
normal.
Our car seats, man, like just I'm surprised, and the fucking like glass in the windows, like I'm surprised we're alive and as many of like our siblings survived. You know what I mean? Like the process of elimination seems like it was a lot.
Yeah, I would get picked up in like God, it was like a little like Toyota hatchback, and me and like 3 kids would just like this guy, the neighbor guy down the street, his kids went to school with us. They'd open up the back of the hatchback. He was this big guy, and his daughter or son would sit in the passenger seat, and then me, my brother, and then one of his kids would sit in like the trunk. And that's how we go to school. Like just get in the trunk and like it was a hatchback.
Just sit around there, no seatbelt
like
required.
Fucking minus 10 degrees, whatever. Yeah, just sit back there. It'll get you to school. Just all that stuff.
We had a carpool driver, one of my buddy's dads, that like had like a conversion van, with like the swivel captain's chairs in the middle row.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know why, but like it seemed like he always drove in the wintertime and stuff like that. But like he barely would crack the window, but he'd smoke cigarettes and stuff like that. It was too cold to get this smoke out. So kids are just taking secondhand smoke. I'd like going to like 7th grade, just reeking like a cigarette and shit. And I remember this girl's like, "Do you just have a cigarette?" And I was like, "No, I got a ride from like, what's his face's dad."
Irresponsible parent.
Yeah. But then my brother got his license. He would drive us and we'd smoke cigarettes and shit in his car and stuff like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because in 8th grade, I was already smoking. I was already.
You were ahead of the curve on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. The old Midwest.
So what do you want to do for New Year's? Like that's another thing you got to fucking do. I'll be home for New Year's, which I was thinking about like maybe going to like a bar or something, or like my brother still has some friends from college and stuff. So I might go visit him and like spend New Year's with him and like all that whole group and see what like.
Just try to go to Madison and hang out with a bunch of college chicks.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what's going on?
What's up?
Class 01.
I never went to college, but my brother did.
Went to WCTC. Yeah. Technical college. Yeah. My brother went here. Yeah, he'd be that guy.
My brother went.
Dude, do you remember the class of 82 guy that used to hang out by our fucking high school?
Yeah.
There's a guy that like hung out at like Walks to South. That
Dude,
was, like,
now that you said it,
he had a letter jacket that said 82, which ironically enough was the year we were born.
Yeah.
And it was just like super weird. I'm like, dude, you were like graduating when I was born, which is, and you're like trying to fucking hang out with us. And
I think something was wrong with him though.
No, you think?
I think so.
Like fucking.
He was like a normal graduate of 82,
yeah.
class of 82.
Yeah.
I think there was something going on with that guy.
Yeah.
But it was like weird to see.
And he had like a letter jacket, no letter.
Yeah. Never lettered.
Yeah. Come to enough games for 20 years. I'm like an honorary letter and shit, like a fucking key to the city. Like you, but that dude, Brian Wiley and I fucking ran into him at Sunset Bowl.
When?
High school.
Oh, in
And
high school.
This is like a random, like, and then for some reason, like, we used to do this dumb shit. So, like, Brian's also another, like, smart ass that would do, like, the fucking, like, honk and flick someone off type shit. And a lot of just, like, practical jokes like that, or just, like, just try to fucking, like, push the envelope. So, we were at Sunset Bowl, like, bowling or playing pool or some shit. And then this guy's like, oh, it was cold winter day. And he's like, oh, I need a ride home. I'm like, I'd totally give you a ride home, but, like, I didn't drive. So, unfortunately, Brian drove or something like that. And he's like, I'm like, yeah, but I don't. And Brian's like, well, I'll give you a ride home. I'm like, all right, man, I'm trying to fucking do this shit. So, like we get the fucking the guys in the car. So it's like the three of us in Brian's van. He like a Dodge Caravan, like the first generation.
Yeah.
And we start leaving. We're driving down Sunset. And then he's like, yeah, take a left at the stop and go lights. I'm like, stop and go lights. Like this, like you just start like things are starting to kind of like click. I'm like, this guy's fucking little special here. And then we get to his apartment. It's in like the Grand Apartments area, which is like a real low income kind of seedy fucking apartment complex. And like, he's like, do you guys want to come up for like a soda or something? And I was like, I'm fine. Like, it's up to Brian. Like, I know he's got like, his mom. No, my mom doesn't need me to come home. I'm like, all right, cool. So we fucking like
he just kept missing all the hints.
Well, he was like just trying to fucking like,
It's like, you guys want a massage or something?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would love a massage.
Yeah. So we get up there and like he does like we go inside and then fucking like he closes the door and like just double deadbolts and throws the chain lock on. I'm like, okay, I feel real fucking like captured.
Yeah, you're like assessing
right
the room.
Yeah,
like, all right, what do I do?
Exactly. I can hop off the balcony, probably break an ankle on the way out, but I'll still get out.
Dahmer situation going on.
And then like on his coffee table, he had like this. It was a fucking piece of like poster board that like had an oval on it, like it was a NASCAR track and shit, but it was just all level. There wasn't any banks and stuff. And then he had the last week's race all lined up like it would have been and shit, like all the starting positions. And I was like, cool, but like the lines were all kind of squiggly and shit. It's
still
like
normal, dude. This is normal. This is a normal guy.
So you graduated 18 years ago, and you're doing little like 4-year-old kid projects and shit on your table. So like he's like, hey, do you guys want some soda or something? And then like at that point I was like, nah, dude, I gotta get I was like, I gotta get out of here and stuff. And like I just kind of like made a beeline for the door and I was like trying to fucking like unlatch it and stuff. And he's like, where are you guys going? I'm like, we gotta go. We just fucking like ran out the front door. I was like, yeah, this is exactly how you get like there's only so much where I'm trying to test it and like I can go along with Brian on his crazy ass ideas and shit. But
that's how you get not found.
Yeah,
like a fucking unsolved mysteries and shit.
Exactly.
Oh my god.
I like the show. I'm not trying to end up on it.
Yeah. I don't know what I'm going to do when I'm back home. Definitely not going to hang out with that guy.
Yeah. Class 82. Go to Jimmy's Grotto, get a Panzerata.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I have not done
100%.
that.
I do that every time I go home.
Yeah. I haven't
every
been there
time.
Fucking in a
really?
minute. Yeah.
It's not on your bucket list? Every time I go home, I'm like, okay, Panzeratas.
Well, I've had some busy trips. I haven't been home in like a year. Last time I was home for a double header. I had like a funeral and a wedding the same day. It's my dad's funeral, my cousin's wedding. And I didn't.
Oh, weddings.
Yeah.
Oh, Mikey's wedding. So we had not to change subjects too quick. We're similar on the same thing, but so Tony and I don't know how many years ago this was. You're better with the dates in your brain than I am. When Mike's wedding was.
It was like 10 years ago. Cause like, it was definitely 2023.
So a buddy of ours, he's been on the podcast.
2013. Yeah.
He was like, his audio was on the podcast. I don't know if he maybe said hi once, but a buddy of ours got married and Tony and I flew back home to be standing up in his wedding. And it was like me, Tony, his buddy? It was this older gentleman. He's fucking super cool. He was like a car salesman. Our buddy worked in the
name will not be mentioned.
Yeah, he worked in like the car industry. It
was a really cool like crew because like one of the guys is I think what's his face is a judge or like a lawyer upstate.
Yeah,
the other guy was like
car salesman guy, and then it was me, you. Yeah. It was like that was it, right? It was like four or five of us.
I don't want to say names, but it was like,
yeah, don't say names. Yeah. But anyway, so it was like the five of us, right? And so before the wedding, we're in the parking lot. We're talking to the groom, and we're like, "Hey, man, you ready for this? All this stuff?" And he's like, "Yeah." So he's like, I don't know if we brought the gummies.
We brought weed chocolate, or the Kiva chocolates.
Oh yeah, the Kiva chocolate.
And then you and I had like a super tolerance at that point. So
yeah,
like, we took like, but even then, I was very fucking stoned. Like I was kind of uncomfortably stoned for being like, a guy standing up in a wedding because like I had this thing where I was like, I wasn't the best man. I was the second best man.
Yeah.
But like for whatever reason, I saw over the best man's head. So I was just looking at like, you know, his bride while they're exchanging vows. I'm like, dude, if he dies and the next guy dies, am I gonna have to marry her? Like it's like your rational thoughts and stuff. And then like the preacher, whoever was doing like the ceremony was like, he's like, I only come here for 2 reasons. I come here to marry and bury, and I'm glad I'm here for the marrying part today. And I was like, what? Yeah, I was like, what the fuck did you just say? I was like, it's such a weird thing to say at a wedding, but yeah, bad. Like, and then the one guy who was like a foreign exchange student from high school.
Oh yeah, that's right.
We gave him some of the chocolates.
I remember.
And he wasn't standing up in the wedding, but he didn't even come down. He was just like locked
They're
up
married.
in the
Get
hotel
off
room.
the stage. He's like, what?
Yeah, he just like basically like took the chocolates, got uncomfortably high, went to lay down, and fucking like never came back.
I remember that.
The dude flew in from like Germany or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
he did. He was like, it was like a super
Yeah.
like he like probably spent like $6,000 to get to that wedding, dude.
Yeah.
It was like insane.
Didn't even see it.
Didn't even see it. That's so true though.
Yeah.
We all ate some chocolate, some weed chocolate in the parking lot before, and then by the time it all kicked in, I just remember, us all standing up there, and I was like, oh yeah, this is kicking in, and I was just like blitzed, and like I could feel my eyes were like puffy and like
super
like closing up, and I'm
yeah.
just like, okay, I'm like stoned at a wedding, and I'm standing and
Yeah.
looking at everybody and just trying not to like lose my shit or laugh. And then I remember the flight to get there, because we were taking those Kiva bars. You and I were like, you're like, oh yeah. Tony's always like, oh yeah, whatever. Like, just break the rules, whatever. No, don't worry about it.
Well,
I was like super paranoid about it.
Bringing them in?
Yeah, we had all these weed chocolate bars. This is before I think weed was even legal out here.
Yeah,
and,
it was still medical card out here. And then
that's right.
Medical it was definitely illegal in Wisconsin, but
still
like
is.
When we were leaving, they're way more like like scanning shit on the way out and stuff. So like we got paranoid, and like I think we took a quarter of the bar at the wedding, and on the way back we had like a bar and a half or something. We each ended up taking like 3/4 of a bar.
No, I thought that was like on the way to Wisconsin.
No, it was on the way home, because we met up at the airport in Milwaukee, both being as much chocolate in. And I knew I was getting stoned because I was on the way there, and I was talking to my mom, and I was starting to get really real about things. I'm like, another thing, Mom, about childhood, like just like confessing too much. I'm like, all right, man, fucking tone it down. Like, and also too, like the cool thing about being like really stoned is like you can kind of self-analyze. I'm like, well, you got to fucking like, lock this down. When you're like drunk in public, you're kind of like, you're unaware. You're just like, oh, I thought I was fine. Like, but you look back and
you're like almost too aware.
Yeah,
when you're
exactly.
Like stoned.
Yeah. So when we got to the airport, that's how I felt. I'm like, okay, I'm definitely obviously impaired, but I don't want them to think that I'm stoned for some reason. So like, if I go have a beer at the bar, they'll be like, oh, he's had a breakfast cocktail. That's why he's like, acting a little fucking weird. And then it was like 6 a.m. or 6:30 or some shit. We had like early flights.
I was too high on that flight. I just remember.
Dude, well, here's the thing though. So we went to that fucking
high.
bar, and on an empty stomach, we ate like fucking like a 3/4 of a chocolate bar of weed.
No, I thought it was more than that, because we were like, I don't want to like. Basically, we ate some.
We had like, and we each had 3/4 of a bar, and then we went and got IPAs.
And they're 100 milligram bars.
Yes, we had. No, they're like 200 milligram bars or some shit. We had like 175.
There are way too much weed to eat at that amount of way too much
on an empty stomach for breakfast, and then to wash it down with an IPA, and then also too. That was the first time I did that shit with you, where like I took way too much edibles, and then my stomach's just fucking bubbling from this IPA, which is now mixing my bloodstream with this fucking like this weed chocolate. And I just remember having like the fucking like cold flop sweats. I'm just sitting in my fucking aisle seat, which I don't like doing anyways. I'm like more of a window I would take a middle seat over the aisle seat, but the aisle seat, you're just kind of like, I could fall out in this, my fucking legs, and like I'm getting hit by the cart, just like all the bad things, and trying to keep the shit together. But you and I were kind of staggered a row apart. I just remember looking at you, and you're definitely fucking just kind of holding on like you're at a roller coaster ride.
I just remember the flight attendant like looking at me, and like I just kept thinking, oh my God, she knows I'm high. And then I was just sweating profusely, like sweating where like my clothes were wet, like visibly wet. And I was getting nauseous, and I was like, just like, oh shit. And then I was like getting like anxiety. I'm like, oh my God, like this is like, I'm on this train. I can't get off. Like I gotta fucking like just pull through this. And then I was like, oh wait, she probably just thinks I'm scared of flying.
Yeah.
He's probably just I'm scared of flying. Ooh, I'm so scared of this flight.
You guys have done this before, right?
Yeah. But I remember like having a few moments where I was like, okay, like, do I throw up right now? Do I ever use the puke bag? Do I like, how do I do this? And I think I just passed out.
That's funny.
That
The
never
puke
went
bag,
that
dude,
again.
like, as many times as I've been on flights when they talk about that, like I never, like, so a few years ago.
How good is that? Like how practical is that? Like, do you ever see anybody use it and like it goes in there?
I didn't think about it, but when my kid, Mark, seems like it's useful.
Really?
Yeah, I fucking, Anthony got sick on the way home from Hawaii a couple years ago. And like, I didn't know what to, like, it was just this like, fucking just impulsive reaction where he starts to fucking puke. I just cut my shirt. He just throws up all over my shirt. Right. So I packed him an extra set of clothes in his like fucking diaper bag and shit. Cause he was like 2 at the time or maybe under 2. And I didn't have anything else for myself. So I had to like just wash like baby. I think he ate like hard-boiled eggs. It was just like the grossest puke to be stuck in the rest of the flight back from like Hawaii. And Hawaii's like a 5.5 hour flight to LA. And it was like right when we left. And he's just passed out the rest of the time. And he was just on my fucking chest in a nice clean outfit. And I'm fucking stuck in this like gross egg pukey smelling fucking shirt. But then I took him to the bathroom and stuff like that. And like the airplane bathroom's fucking tight space. But like, for whatever reason, I made it work where I can like change this. I was like, how the fuck am I gonna change a kid in here? I have a hard time pissing in there because I'm fucking tall.
Like just getting inside of a fucking plain bathroom is a pain in the ass. Yeah, never again. No more.
Fucking hopefully that shit doesn't happen to me on my next flight because I don't know, man. This is my first time going solo flight with a kiddo. Like that's gonna be an interesting fucking thing.
I have a funny story of 2 people that may or may not be related to me that wanted to get some weed, and it's not legal in Wisconsin. So they went down to Chicago and got some weed, got some gummies, got like herb, got like the whole stuff. And now they're like, okay, cool. They're like going to start going down there like all the time now to get weed. And I'm like, oh, it's so weird now. Like I don't smoke weed now, but like I had for many years. And now when finally like other people that I know and like in my circle are doing it, I'm like, no, not for me. No, you don't do it anymore.
Yeah, you got to get back to it, man. It's
and it's like seems to be like free now. Like I have so much weed at home. Like it's just like I have a bag of like edibles, chocolates, weed, joints, like all this shit that I've gotten through you or other people, and I'm just like, of course, when I don't have to pay for it, now I get it for free after years of spending like thousands of dollars on that shit.
11 wishes while you're stirring. Like, man, I wish I had weed for free for the rest of my life, and this just finally came true. And just kind of like fucking manifested that shit because I have like a obviously a lifelong supply for weed.
Yeah,
I have like that's the one thing I never don't have in my apartment is like edibles or weed, just because I have like
this fucking podcast studio is a perfect example of it.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
like weed everywhere in this place. I'm like, no, I'm good.
You gotta check out a reality. Any one of these little boxes over
our
here.
producer's like, just make sure you check anything that you eat in here. Full of fucking weed.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah,
this microphone's got weed in them. Yeah,
but microphone has weed.
I've been using the Volcano a lot lately. That's like my fucking I'm back.
I think it was like like $700 or something.
$700 investment. Dude, they're still fetching that price. And then also too, like the bags are like expensive, but like you burn a lot of product. You're going through a lot of fucking herb and shit, but like it's free. I don't give a fuck.
It's free.
And you can actually taste the actual like weed and stuff like that. And like it's different. It's like it's the most bougie way to smoke, but also like the best for your lungs.
So like the Volcano, for people that are listening or watching, like that don't know what it is, it's like basically like a vaporizer. It's like before like vape pens existed. They had like a vape version of for weed, and it's basically like this device that has like a coil on top, and you put the weed in there, and then it burns it, and then puts it into a vapor, and then puts it into a bag.
There's like it's almost
like
like
a vacuum or something.
Those shrink wrap fucking like blow dryers that blows air through that and then fills the bag up and stuff like that. But then you get like almost like and again, this might be a stone thought, but it reminds me of like just a plastic lung that like it did all the damage of sucking it in there, and now you're just taking in that, and it's just like the vaporized THC. There's no like smoke actually.
Yeah, there's no smoke. It's just all vapor. But I remember doing like bags of that shit. Like you and I would be like, all right, take a whole bag, and then we'd suck down each bag, and then be like, all right, hit it again. And like so much weed and stuff that we smoked, man. It was just like fucking crazy.
I had a buddy come over the other day that never had a bag, and like I gave
someone that had a bag.
Yeah, Chase, like first time over, and like he never used a volcano before, and like I just like my place not to smell like weed, and you know, like there's just like it's a good discreet thing for the kid and shit. But like I gave him the bag, and he just started like hitting the whole thing. I'm like, you don't got to take the whole bag down. He's like, well, you know, first time, might as well. I'm like, yeah, you're really fucking high as shit though, because that's like fucking like a different level.
Yeah, exactly.
Bag. Yeah, because like that, like, but I do feel like it has like a different like. The high doesn't last as long as if you actually smoke a joint or something that are
I remember
like it's
that
like same thing as a vape pen. Or I feel like a vape pen hits you. It's a real like
it's like a shot.
It's a quick onset.
Yeah,
and then it kind of diminishes just as fast as it came on and stuff. But I do feel like it's a cleaner break when you're done. You're not like lethargic and shit.
Yeah, I think at some point I'll probably like get back into that stuff, and I just got to figure out like the right.
At some point, like in 10 minutes when this podcast's over.
No, hell no. That shit. I think I just got to find like the right dosage to like get back in where I'm not like just fucking blasted.
You know what I missed? The spliff bowl.
The what?
Spliff bowl. Little tobacco, little weed.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But then you do that and you get the man.
Dude,
I smoked a couple spliffs with a dude after a show one time, walking back from the Pikey, and I don't know why, like just like I think we smoked like 2 in a row, and I don't smoke cigarettes anymore. I quit, so there's like it was like a lot of tobacco being in my system and shit. Yeah. And I'll smoke cigars here and there, but like I got so fucking like just jittery and high, so I was like just too much stimulant and fucking like depressant at the same time, or I got like the fucking cold sweats and shit, and I was like we walked back to our apartment and stuff, still living with you at the time. I was trying to do like, all right, you got an Uber coming? Then I had to just like stop the conversation. I'm like, hey man, I need you to call an Uber. I don't feel well right now. Like I smoked too many spliffs.
I need to go home.
Yeah, I feel like I just got to lay down. I'm getting the spins right now, and this is not how I want to fucking like. I don't want to feel like this anymore. Like I've been good at like vocalizing that kind of stuff as like the older I get, where I'm like, I don't mind being like, I'm too drunk to be here. I need to go home. Instead of like where I used to be like, nah, I'm fine. Like I got like a lazy eye from fucking drinking. I'm slurring my speech and shit, and just like still trying to hang.
I think the last time I closed a bar down was with Rory. We're at Trocadero down the street.
Rory, future podcast guest, Rory.
Yeah, and I didn't even know him really at that time. I was just like, hey man, this is good. It was like we're having
a cool person to close a bar down with.
Yeah, we're having a good hang and just joking and laughing and shit, and then we just ended up closing the bar down. But I haven't had one of those in a really long time. It's probably a good thing though.
Yeah,
I probably shouldn't be doing that too often. But
well, you go through midlife crisis, and you'll be closing bars down in no time.
You're like, I close bars down.
I got to close the bar down tonight. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, shit.
Speaking of which, this is a no shade November beer. This isn't like, hey, Tony's going off the rails. Are you good? Doing a wellness check in the comment section? Like, hey, is everything okay? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's what mine is too. That's good. No shave November.
No shave November. Yeah,
sure. I'll do that. I know. I said to you today at work, I'm like, I think my fucking facial hair looks like an anchor.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's unintentional.
It's the anchor
I'm like,
stopping you
wearing
from
a fucking anchor
women.
on my face. Like, what the fuck am I doing to myself?
Yeah, I like to kind of shave a goatee though after I'm done with the month and see that's like where I grow the most beard anyways. I'll go through a series of stupid facial hair before I shave off again and go.
Yeah, you have to do it. Like if you can grow facial hair, like why not play around with it at least for a few months out of the year? Like what's the point?
I like a clean shave though, man. It's like I don't know, call me old fashioned.
I have to say you shave your beard right. We've had this conversation on this podcast before. You're shaving your beard right. You get the neckline. It's right there. It's not like a weird fucking like chin strap, weird fucking where people draw in their fucking like.
I also have a jawline though. That's like another thing too. Where like people that do that kind of shit have like a double chin. They try to make like a fat Joe beard. Where it's just like, I know where I see all the other chins. You're trying to fool me. Like fucking. Or like you might as well get some mascara and draw a line out or something like that. Or like
the old chubby guy disguise where they have a goatee and like to try to like hide the double chin kind of thing. Like, oh, okay. I'm like, all right, well, fucking shave it off, buddy.
Yeah.
Live on the edge.
I'd like to see like by the end of the month. This is like 10 days in how much length I have, because I wouldn't mind going. Because last time I did no shave November, I had a beard for like 4 years.
Really?
Yeah,
You
man.
had a beard that
A
long?
beard from like 2016 to 2020. I shaved like in the first few weeks of the pandemic. I'm the only person that decided to start shaving during the pandemic. I'm like, let me just clean my.
I can be clean for
shaven.
myself.
No, because my kid doesn't like the beard. His skin was getting irritated and shit. Even now, like I was telling you at work today, like he just doesn't like. He doesn't want to give me a kiss on the cheek or the mouth. It's like a fucking forehead and shit. I know it sounds weird, the kiss in the mouth, but like, yeah, the kid wants to fucking kiss more. You kiss. I like that.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
normal.
But
dad
yeah, like
thing.
he's like, no, Dad, you got too much beard. And I was taking a shower today. He's like, Dad, you're doing too much shaving. I'm like, I'm not shaving at all. He's like, you got to get rid of that beard. I'm like, that is what shaving does. Like, do you know how this works? Yeah.
My dad's had a beard his whole life. Never seen him without a beard ever. Not one day.
I've never seen Jeff without a beard either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a commitment. Like,
yeah.
Like I don't think I could do anything like that forever. Like I have commitment issues. I think that's like one of the examples of that. Like, man, you've had a beard your whole life. My godfather had a beard for the majority of his life and then shaved it off. And it was so crazy seeing him. It was like probably when we were like 13 or something, clean shaven. I was like, whoa. It was like sitting in the room with a stranger. It was so weird.
Yeah, it's kind of like, like off-putting at first. Where you're like, so we're gonna talk about this, like the fact that you have like no beard anymore, like you see like your raw cheeks and stuff. And like, because my dad did that. My dad had a beard, and then he shaved it, and then he had like stupid mustaches and shit, and just like Are you gonna keep it growing out? Are you gonna do like a full beard? If I do, I'm gonna grow it out and see how long I can get it and shit. Because I wouldn't mind having some kind of like, statuesque,
like some ZZ Top shit going on.
I wouldn't mind actually having like a proper goat.
I haven't done that, and I think like 4 years ago I did when I did like a hike, and I had a pretty gnarly beard for that. But I might try to do that again. I have a shit ton of grays in my fucking chin now. Like, it's a good little way to see like what you got going on with the face dying. Yeah, exactly. All right, this part's dead. This part's about to die. It's all turning white. Your hair is like a good reminder of like how much time you have left in your bank account. And we're like, yeah. We have lots of grays and we are losing fucking hairline. Okay, so we are getting still start dyeing. The end is not dyeing your beard like a weirdo or fucking. The credits are about to roll. No, that's another weird thing, dude. I have never dyed my hair, and I have no intention of doing that and shit. And like, never done it, but anybody that has done it, I'm like, you dyed your hair. Yeah. They don't say it to him, but I'm like, oh, that guy. Well, even like any kind of fun colors or like doing some shit where like I'm gonna do an M&M and bleach my hair or some shit. Like, yeah. I just have always been like natural. Let the fucking sun and death do their things, Yeah, but man. It's got the grays and the natural blonde highlights. Yeah, I don't think anybody that we hang out with dyes their hair or like. That's why we don't hang out with them. Yeah. Our producer's he's got the silver hair. Silver fox over there. Silver fox, good head of hair. Yeah. I'd rather have gray hair than no hair. Yeah. I'm on that cusp. I'm like right there. I'm losing it, but I'm like still got enough. So anything that comes in, whether it's gray or whatever, I don't care what color, it stays. So that's true. Yeah. At this point, it's like I've been with you this long. I'm not going anywhere. Dude, some of the people I see with a real rough hairline, and then I'm like 20 something, like ugh, like shit, because like I was paranoid about going bald since I was fucking in high school, dude. Blair said that. She was like, Klein, you're the one with the receding hairline. I'm like, what? And then like ever since that Taco Bell experience, I like have been fucking like gauging my hairline since then. But like, it's still there. Blair's got a good head of hair. Still does. He can still grow like long hair, and it doesn't like look bad or anything. It's just that fucking great head of hair. We should have him on the podcast at some point. On the podcast. An ex-NASCAR guy currently pursuing a career in virtual racing and real life racing. He's doing some cool shit on his like race team. I think he just got a new like a Monte Carlo, like an old Monte Carlo, and got rid of his old car. Yeah, I saw it on his Facebook. He's upgrading. He's doing video game shit. Yeah, he's fucking doing good shit, man. I'm proud of that guy. I haven't talked to him probably a fucking decade, but that's a social media. Eric appreciates people from afar. Yeah. I'm the contact man. I talked to him like a few months ago. He's doing well. But I was saying we should sponsor a flight out here for him. Blair, if you're watching this, we will pay for you to come out and be on this podcast. If we want to hang with you, we want to party with you. We want to party with you, podcast with you, dude. Yeah. I feel like that's with most of the people in my life. Like if I don't see them or haven't spoken with them for years, like I can just show up and be like, hey, what's up? And just kind of fall back into it. I think that's a good sign of like, give you the cliff notes of most of those people. And I'm like, all right, Eric, this is what they've been up to. Like I've been fucking keeping tabs on people for you and shit. And you just kind of Or like now you have like all the social media, so you kind of feel you can do that stuff from a distance. Be like, all right, they're doing good, they're doing all right. But well, shit, that's
an hour of you and I bullshit.
Yeah, fucking 1 hour of Eric and Tony.
Yeah,
there we go. So
we'll be doing this like probably once a month. So get ready for it, kids.
Yeah, I want to do some more just Eric and Tony. You know, what's in the mind, what's going on, all that kind of stuff. But
we'll get some more information on that crazy Russian lady having 22 kids. Where did she get the money? Who's watching these kids?
Stay tuned. All right. Well, Tony, where can people find you?
At Tony Klein Comedian on social media, and TonyKleinComedian.com is my website with nothing updated. So just look at how much I'm
shows
slacking.
from 3 years ago and fucking dates that didn't happen.
I still have pimples in some of the videos.
Yeah. Well,
Eric, where can they find you?
Oh, they can find me and this podcast at Eric Rustler on Instagram, at the Eric and Tony Show on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. We post 1 minute clips every single day of all the podcasts that we do. And then the full video clip goes up on Monday on YouTube, so you can watch this whole thing. And then on Spotify as well on Monday, the full audio clip goes up, and so you can listen to it. And if you're visually impaired, and we also have t-shirts and mugs, beer mugs, and some other stuff you can buy with the Eric and Tony Show logo on it to help support the channel. So that's where you can find us. That's how you can support. And we'll see you next week for the next episode.
25.